to the Golden Market Report. Today we're joined with President and CEO Simon Dyakowski of GSP Resources Corp. GSP Resources trades on the TSXV under the symbol GSPR. Simon, thanks for joining me today. For those new to GSP, please share an overview of the company and your projects.
Well, hey, Graham, pleasure to be on with you today. Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show once again. And I'm honored to introduce GSP. GSP is a company that is based in Vancouver. It's focused on mineral exploration on projects in Southwestern British Columbia, which has been regarded as a very favorable jurisdiction for mining. And in fact, my virtual background here shows one of the largest, I think the largest open pit mine in Canada, the Highland Valley Mine, owned by Teck Resources, is located in southwestern BC, just southwest of the town of Kamloops, which is a regional mining center in the province. So we're focused on a project in that locale. In fact, we're only about 2 kilometers away from that project. We have a past producing high-grade copper, gold, silver mine called the Alwin Mine, which is about 2 kilometers west of the Highland Valley main pit. And we've been busy there drilling over the last couple of years, and more recently diving into some new information that we found and advancing it towards a new geological model and a plan this summer to drill and test for expansions of the historic high-grade deposit, which was really only partially mined in the early 1980s and was shuttered due to low commodity prices back then.
Okay, interesting. Can you share some more details on how GSP acquired and processed this historic data?
Yeah, so it's been a multi-year effort of collecting really paper records of the old mining operations that span back from the 80s, 70s, 60s, and some of them back to the 1910s. The Alwin Mine was the first high-grade copper occurrence to be discovered in the Highland Valley. So, it's been a bit of a labor to get everything together. We've optioned the property, so we have an option to acquire 100% of it from a local land vendor in British Columbia, and he's been instrumental in acquiring this data as well. But it's all been in paper format, and what we decided to do last year was to get a new geological group involved out of Edmonton called Apex Geoscience, who have a very particular expertise in modeling up deposits that are historic and helping understand, how they could be developed again or expanded. So we've basically taken that information, put it into their geological models, and what we've discovered is that the historic drilling is very substantial. Over 60,000 meters of drilling. Over 50,000 meters of that we've now digitized and put it into a model. And the key point on this is that at current exploration costs, that represents an exploration value of about $20 million. So if you were to go and re-drill all those holes today, you'd be looking at over 20 million to do so. So we have a great head start because we've been able to actually take these paper records and put them into the 3D space. And that's really helping us understand the deposit, and it's helping guide where we think we might be able to drill to expand this project. So that's underway right now. The initial findings of the data review were announced about a month ago. And again, some highlights were 425 drill holes with over 2,000 copper assays. Interestingly, a lot of the gold and silver assays were left out of that initial assaying back in the 70s and 60s because the price of gold and silver at the time was so low that it just really wasn't worth it. So we see that as a very significant upside for the Alwin project, going in and confirming what the gold and silver grades might be. And in fact, in GSP's recent drilling, we intersected about 1.6 meters of over 10 grams of gold, which is one of the highest grades of gold ever drilled in the Highland Valley. So, we're very excited to go back in the summer, especially with, the resurgence in precious metal pricing. Now, this is still a high-grade copper primary project, don't get me wrong, but the gold and silver could represent a very significant upside for us. And I just might add, I received a phone call from the mine manager of the old Alwin mine from back in the 80s, and he told me that the silver credit that they had back in that brief period of operation actually paid for all the milling costs. So it's not insignificant, and we think that it's something that's very, very worthwhile to follow up on.
Now, I see some of this historic data was located underground and some from the surface. Is this team focused on exploring one over the other?
We're focused on putting both of the underground and the surface drilling into one unified model, so that will be the focus. It's not our immediate plan to go underground. That's potentially something we would do in the future, but that's another step in terms of permitting and cost. In terms of going deep underground and making everything safe and dewatering. So for now, I think we have more than enough data to go and drill probably a few holes strategically from surface to reconfirm even some of the underground drilling, and then consider how to quantify all the drilling into a unified resource model.
Also mentioned in the release, zones of high-grade copper, silver, and gold remain open along strike and at depth. What are the next steps to defining targets here?
So that's exactly what we're doing right now, is looking to see within that model, what has been drilled, tested, what were the values, are there assays missing, and where could we potentially pull out more mineralization. And I think it's worth mentioning that the cutoff grade of this mine was about 1.5% copper in the early 80s. So a lot of what today might be considered economic was likely excluded from some of the analysis that was done historically. So that's exactly what our geos are working on right now, is trying to understand, where did they assay, where didn't they, why did they drill in certain places, and why they leave certain places open. And we expect to have the results of that next step of analysis out to the market over the next few weeks, and that should clear up where we plan to be drilling next this summer.
Well, thanks, Simon, for joining us. We look forward to seeing what's next at Alwin. Are there any last words you'd like to leave us with?
First of all, thanks for having me on and for the opportunity. And one thing I just want to reiterate is that we have $20 million+ of exploration data, and our market cap right now is only about $3.5 million. So I think that's worth considering when you're looking at GSP. Is just the fact that we traded basically a micro cap valuation with 8 figures plus of work already completed on this project. So we're excited to go back in and show everybody why previous operators spent so much money on this project, and in fact had developed a small mine on this in the 80s. So we're excited, and hopefully now we have a tailwind with the markets and the metals pricing going into the summer of 2023, where we can get some more attention on what we're advancing.
Definitely an exciting time. Well, thanks for your time today. We look forward to more news from the company. Have a great day, Simon.
You too. Thanks very much, Graham.